Okay. Next topic of conversation is Ferrari. This is the section of our podcast that we decided to call "Let's Criticize Ferrari."
I
Uh,
guess so. Criticizing
uh,
everybody, yeah.
the issue with Ferrari is that now I just don't trust them. Everything they do, it just looks like a
It-
clown show.
well,
Uh,
I feel like yeah, everything that they do just looks like a question mark. Like, not necessarily that is wrong. It's just more like, was that the right choice? Because I don't know now. Like it seems like the right thing, but Ferrari did it, so maybe it's not. Like for example, like when the race started, and like Sainz was on first place, and then he had the softs, but then like the 11 cars behind him had all the mediums. It was like, I guess Ferrari are trying something, but it looks like everybody else is on a different strategy that might be better. uh
yeah, I think like the only reason you feel like maybe it's not as bad is because Verstappen also started on the softs.
yeah, he's on the soft, and you're like, okay, I guess they have
If
one
Verstappen
guy.
is doing it,
Yeah.
then it's okay.
Exactly.
but it's not like, oh, Ferrari is doing that. I don't have to question it. They just know what they're doing. It's like
Oh, yeah.
Verstappen is doing it. I don't have to question it.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, very very questionable things like that. Now it's just like a part of like that you have to keep in mind for Ferrari. And then they just have like all these like terrible incidents with the pit lane. I mean, like that. Honestly, that is what it comes down to. It's like bad decision making. It's like,
It's like they don't know. They're not making decisions. I feel like it's not
oh
well
yeah,
that they are bad decision makers, and I think now they know that. I don't know if they've accepted it, but I feel like now they don't want to make decisions. So now they go into these radio conversations with Charles
with
Leclerc,
the drivers,
which are
yeah.
like 3 fucking sentences long. It's like, Charles, we are on lap whatever. If we put the mediums, we can keep doing the same pace, and if we put hards, we feel like that it's good. Do you want to switch to the hards, or like you want to keep staying out, or you want to pit now? Question.
Yeah. It was, yeah, you were like expecting like they were describing so much of like they were talking so much but they were saying so little. Like the softs are good but the mediums are good. It's kind of like, what are you guys doing? Like, I think what probably happened is that behind the scenes, Leclerc came after the races and he's like, "You gotta tell me what the fuck you're talking about, or you gotta tell me what this is. Like, at least give me a choice of the decision or something." They probably discussed it with the team, and this is how they're trying to approach it. But it's like, it sounds so bad, anyways. It's like the guy is not looking for you to tell him like the two compounds are fine. The guy is saying like, okay, well, you gotta suggest to me like one or the other, and then but like give me a choice why I should take one over the other. But then like the
Yeah,
guy comes on the radio and he's like saying nothing.
yeah. I feel like they don't know how to give Leclerc context, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Exactly.
I feel like they were saying that like he could stay with the mediums, or he could go into the hards.
Yeah.
And I think probably when like he heard we can go into the hearts, he probably had flashbacks and PTSD from last time in
Yeah.
Hungary. It's like,
Maybe.
yeah, don't give me hearts, because.
Mm-hmm.
But what Ferrari failed to tell him is that there were drivers on the hearts
Already in the heart. Yeah.
that were doing just fine.
Yeah.
So like they need to say that it's like, you want mediums or you want hards. There are drivers on the hards doing really good times. So uh what do you want?
Yeah.
And which I
Exactly.
feel like it's also wrong. I feel like they should take the decision. They have all the data and they can see like the degradation of the tires and see everything,
Mm-hmm.
that like how they're evolving, and like they can see the other cars and tell him, hey, let's pit for hearts.
Exactly.
Um, but but like they have the data to back it up. but when like it's not the same as like the last time in Hungary where like let's pit for hearts, when they had all the data to
Oh, the
show that they were not working.
they were in the wrong compound, and everybody that was on those hearts was in the wrong compound. Yeah.
Yeah, so like there was, they had data this time to make be able to make the decision. But yeah, like you say, I think in the background, obviously we don't know what happened
Hmm.
like behind the scenes. Leclerc really said like, guys, you have to tell me like that there's other options, you know,
Right.
like and then give me the choice.
Yeah.
And I feel like Ferrari did that, but like also when I hear Leclerc's answer, Leclerc is like, I don't know, man. The mediums feel fine. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
know.
He just replied, I don't know. I guess the mediums feel fine right now, but like that's not the decision. Like it's more like you should say like, okay, this guy and this guy are in the hard and they're putting like faster times as they were in the mediums. And then that's all you need to say. Or you can
Yeah,
say like you can say these guys went on the hards, they're doing the same time as the mediums that they were in before, or something like that. And then
yeah,
and then give him a choice. I don't necessarily think it's like the worst to like communicate like straight up just information to them and like ask them for like little feedback, because I think especially Leclerc, he's not like he just drives, right? He's not a
yeah,
great like decision maker himself. Like I think I've talked about this in the past, but when you see him in his Twitch, when he was streaming, and like he would like make his own pitch strategies. They weren't like the brightest. He didn't do like the smartest things per se, because that's not his job. His job is to just to drive the car and to like put it on, like you said. And I think it's good. It's like really Leclerc shouldn't have to be in this position. Hamilton is not really in this position a lot of times. They just say like, we're pitting you, and then boom, they put their hearts on, and then Hamilton keeps going. And it's like you can Hamilton just believe that whatever the team did is working. Whatever that
yeah,
they read the data, and that is what they decided. And
yeah.
a lot
And
of
there are
times he
times where
disagrees
yeah,
afterwards, or like in the middle, he complains, but then he's like, oh no, it was the right thing. Go on.
yeah, and there are times where like he feels like I'm on the right tire. I just need to stay here for longer, and
Mhm.
he won't pit. He's like, I'm gonna stay in this tire for like one or two more laps, and it's my call.
Yeah.
Uh, and he just like there's something that Martin Brundle was saying the broadcast is like the drivers do really have a connection with the car. They are one with that machine.
Exactly.
Like
That's
if
right.
the car like twitches, like the the cell where they sit down is molded to their bodies. Like
Hmm.
they mold their fucking ass onto that
Yeah,
chair.
on the
So
chair.
like the butt cheeks just sit perfectly where those butt cheeks go.
Yeah.
You know, then
Exactly comfortable.
yes, like it's just perfect. And then once that seat is made, the rest of the capsule is made so he can just be there and drive. And then everything that the car, if it moves a little to the left, the driver feels that. If it moves to the
Yeah.
right, they know that when like they feel the car understeering or oversteering, they know how to make those corrections, like, or they know that they have to make them.
Hmm.
Now whether they're good or not are making them is another thing. That's the driver
Yeah.
skill. But the drivers do really feel everything in that car. They're also low to the ground, like once they sit there, they are one with that machine.
Exactly.
So when like Lewis Hamilton is driving and then he feels like the tires feel fucking fine to me,
Hmm.
and you're telling me to pit, and then he keeps going for an extra lap or two, like he's one with that car at that point in time.
Yeah.
And
He
then
he
he's taking the,
understands it.
yeah, and he takes the feedback from the team, whether to say like, okay, now I can listen to your feedback. There's
Hmm.
a balance. And I feel like that's something that perhaps Leclerc and Ferrari have not found yet.
Yeah.
And probably Leclerc hasn't found yet. I feel like, unfortunately, he's not in the team that can do that for him. And he
Like.
has to now develop uh, a part of his racecraft that he never had to develop before.
Mhm.
This is something that I think Leclerc will. This is a season where he will learn a lot about, like, I have to learn to make my own decisions in the car and not fully rely on the team.
Well,
And I
see,
think that's good. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I mean, I think it's good, but I don't agree that he has to, like, because
Well, no, he has to this
I
year, but I don't feel like as a driver he should do that. Like the team should just
right,
build the team
yeah,
around them.
yeah. I mean, true. I mean, it does help him to grow in a specific way, but yeah, I don't. At the end of the day, I don't think the team should be asking their drivers like that. I mean, they to some extent, yes, but not to like that level of detail. So I think it just looks a little bad from Ferrari. You know, among that season where like it's going horribly, like the decision making. So it just puts a lot more question marks on like
Yeah,
what is going on that team.
yeah. It's. I mean, you can feel like, when you have such a talent in your team, like we say, like Hamilton is in Mercedes, they build a car around Hamilton.
Mhm.
Verstappen is in Red Bull, they build a car around Verstappen. Even like Norris in McLaren, they're building the
They're building the
car
car around, yeah.
for Norris.
Hmm.
Uh, like these are just things that like the team is investing into the talent, and they're building a team around that talent because they know that they're gonna get where they want to be if they put their chips there. Uh, like it's the same reason that, for example, maybe Cristiano Ronaldo is having issues finding a new team because he's like 37. uh at 37, usually you think that soccer players are already like going out, so like what are we going to invest 5 years on Cristiano Ronaldo, and we don't know if he's going to be at the peak of his game at 42.
Hmm.
So like people don't like to invest on that sort of thing, and he has issues finding teams. But that's not the issue with Charles Leclerc.
Hmm.
Like, and like I know that some drivers can just go into the team. Like, for example, I think Lewis Hamilton can go into a team and build a team around him.
Hmm.
I think that
Exactly.
Fernando Alonso can do the same thing. He can go to a team and make sure the team revolves around him. There
Hmm.
are drivers that can just do that. I don't think, for example, I think Verstappen can probably do that right now, but I don't think he always could.
Hmm.
I think it was a Red Bull recognized we need
Yeah.
to build a team around him. Also, same for Norris. I think Norris perhaps could a little bit depending on which team he goes, but I don't think it was Norris's decision to build a team around him. It was McLaren that decided we need to build a team around Norris,
Hmm.
and I think Ferrari have not come to that realization yet that we need to build a team around Leclerc and empower him and give him everything he needs so we can get where we want to be. Uh, and now Leclerc is doubting himself. Now he's like, now I have to
Yeah.
develop an extra
The
racecraft, and now he doesn't feel comfortable in the car. Now he also, if I feel like also Leclerc is questioning the team's choices, and like he just wants to
yeah.
drive, man.
I'm afraid that they actually are destroying like a beautiful thing, which is Leclerc's driving. I mean, honestly, like the guy can drive. The guy should be in a championship winning car. Uh, and it's just very unfortunate that like they're doing that to him because like they're really putting him in a really bad spot. You know, where like he really is a fantastic driver that like on paper could probably win a few championships. You know, I think at the beginning of the season I predicted at least one, maybe two. Um, but like they're putting him in this very awkward, difficult spot that like he has to start making changes to the way that he's approached and he's approaching the team and all of these things where like he should be thinking about winning races. You know, he should be thinking about winning, like focusing on the driving, like on like trying to like figure out how to strategize better for the team, which is something that they should already just be doing. Every other team does it that way. There's literally no other team that like struggles with these except for Ferrari.
Yeah,
Um,
Ferrari just think that like everybody should be privileged that they're driving a Ferrari,
exactly.
and it's just, I don't know. I feel like that mentality hasn't gone away. Like they feel like the team goes above anything else, and
Yeah.
And I don't
which
think
is
so. Like, I
I,
mean, I really want Ferrari. I don't know. I'm tired of Binotto.
yeah, I mean, it's so yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's the real reason that I want Binotto gone. I think like what he's bringing to the team doesn't feel like he's good for the team. Like, yeah, okay, so he made a faster car. Like the car did come out faster, and like that right there is quite a bit of the way. But like, his attitude, in my opinion, is bad. Like I don't like everything that he says, and like the way that he says it makes me think that like he's not prioritizing correctly what he should be doing. Um, I don't know what the guy's thinking. I don't know what Ferrari's doing behind the scenes, but to me, it's just I see like a lot of obvious signs that I'm just like I think that's not good management. And
Yeah, I think
actually,
like
there in
Binotto.
so
Go ahead.
many ways, like Ferrari still it hasn't come back to a glory state. It's just built like a car that drives faster sometimes, you know. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I think that Binotto can definitely bring a team into build a really fast car. But I mean, we see it. They just don't know how to make decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and like that stems from like the top. I want to say that like, oh, maybe that's not the case. Maybe it's like one specific. Maybe it's this engineer. Maybe it's that other engineer.
Yeah.
But like, if you have somebody at the top that just knows how to make and commit to decisions and make those like snap decisions like on the fly,
Mm-hmm.
that person can take over everybody and be like, you got to do that. Now you do this. Now you like. But I feel like I think that's like Toto Wolff. I think that's Christian Horner. You know, like whatever Toto says is like, yeah, that's the decision. There, he
Exactly.
made the decision. That's the call. We're gonna do it, and then that's what Toto said. Like, I never feel like in Ferrari it's like, oh, that's what Binotto said. I actually feel like I don't think Binotto knows what the decision is. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't know what the choice should be. So
So like
they're
we're
like,
like
hey, it's like we'll get back to you on that.
yeah.
And
Everything is like that, and it's like everything is like a process of like asking this person, asking that person. I was like, it's why it took him like 20 laps to let like Sainz pass Leclerc when Leclerc was obviously faster. It's all those things, you feel like there's a lot of frictions in the way in which they operate, and I do think it's because mostly because of Binotto. uh I don't know, maybe there's a good manager there somewhere. Like maybe we just need to give him more time, but like I don't know, in my opinion he's performing very poorly, just very poorly on this past year. Like it's shown that like the team is really not in a state where it can reliably win. Not because it doesn't have the faster car, but because they just don't know what they're doing strategy wise, and there's too many like processes that are not correct uh
yeah,
in their thinking.
yeah, Formula One is like a sport that like there is like a beautiful balance you need to achieve,
Hmm.
where like you have all the data and you can almost predict everything that's going to happen via
Yeah.
computer. But there are some human elements that like, even though the machine says this,
Hmm.
the machine doesn't have like the intuition, or it doesn't have the talent that the driver has.
Exactly.
Like you can crunch all those numbers and it'll tell you that you'll get here, but if you put Max Verstappen in that car, he'll probably get you, like the computer says he'll get third place, but with Max Verstappen he'll win the race.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the
Yeah.
computer cannot take that into account because
Hmm.
you don't know that Michael Jordan is going to score 50 points this game. Like,
No, yeah, I think it's what that's one of the aspects that I really enjoy about the sport itself, is that like to me it does feel like a very intellectual sport in the sense that like there's all these like technical aspects that you have to take into consideration. Because yes, I mean the driver is very physical for the drivers, but at the end of the day this is a sport for the mechanics and of the mechanics, like this is like they put this car together, like it's all about putting the best car together. I mean, like a driver can take you so far, but like you need to give him a good car to do it. And that's essentially sort of what the game is. It's why I mean it's why I really, I don't know, it's very appealing to me to think about all the different aspects, all the different strategies that you can implement in Formula One. It's not just about, it's literally not just about being the fastest driver. You also have to have this the smartest team making the decisions. I think Ferrari just showcased that, you know, like plenty. Like I don't know, maybe they stopped investing on their strategy team for a while to get back into it, but they need to start like
Yeah,
investing on strategies because oh my god, like very
there's
very
also
doubtful judgment.
the call at the end to pit Leclerc for the fastest lap.
Yeah, exactly.
That was there's a radio. Did you hear about the radio communication between
No,
Leclerc and Ferrari?
I didn't. No.
So if you go, there's like a YouTube video. It's like a 30-second YouTube video where they're asking Leclerc, "Hey, we want to pit for fastest lap," and then Leclerc was like, "I don't want to do it. Like, what do you think?" It's like, if it's up to me, I want to stay here and I wouldn't risk it.
Yeah.
And then Ferrari is like, "Oh, so we want to do it," and he's like, "It's up to you guys, but I would not risk it." And then they box him.
Oh my god.
So they box him. He comes out. They told him in the radio that he would come out 1 second ahead of Alonso.
Mhm.
And it's much closer than a second, but there's that issue with Alonso.
Yeah.
He gets overtaken and then he has to overtake him again. He doesn't get the fastest lap.
He has to use the tires for that, of course.
Yeah, he speeds on the pit lane,
Mhm.
gets a 5-second penalty for something that he didn't want to do. So I mean, you can blame either Ferrari or you can blame Leclerc or a combination of both, you know? But because Leclerc at that point is like, "Hey, I would not risk it." He could have just stayed out.
Yeah. I
But go ahead.
I mean, I think it's like 65% Ferrari, like 35% Leclerc. I think I mean I think it is his mistake, sort of like speeding through the pit lane or whatever, or
Although
escaping the pit lane.
Ferrari says that uh, the the sensor was damaged, so the fact that Leclerc was speeding wasn't human error; that it was a car error.
I
Although
don't know about that.
I think it's an excuse.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Uh,
That sounds very
I think
doubtful.
because Leclerc said that it was his
Something's
fault.
magically broken in the car. Yeah.
Leclerc said that it was his fault. He admitted it. So, you know,
Yeah, I mean, it was in that sense, but it's also like they hastily call him in, and then he goes in, and then like you're trying not to lose time because you know how close Alonso is, and you still come out behind Alonso. It's kind of like, well, you probably did the right thing by trying to hurry, but you still made a mistake at the end. So I don't know. I mean, like I can blame Leclerc, but only so much because like that was not the right call. And I guess if he was asked about it, it's even worse. I didn't know. I
yeah,
didn't even know he was asked about it.
yeah, he was asked, and then I mean, yeah, I feel like Leclerc should stick to his guns, but I feel like you say, I think most of them, like 65% Ferrari, 35% Leclerc, is a fair thing. Leclerc also shouldn't be in a position where he needs to question his team. The team has all the data. He knows that they know that Alonso is however many seconds behind, and they told him, "Hey, you're gonna come out a second ahead." Uh, you know, I
Yeah,
mean, I do think that if it was another driver, like let's say Lewis Hamilton, and Lewis Hamilton is like a second, it's like, no, I don't want to do that. Like a
yeah,
second is too close for comfort.
exactly.
I feel like maybe Hamilton wouldn't have pitted there, no matter what Mercedes would have
Yeah.
said, you know?
I mean, it's just like bleeding points for no reason too. Just like losing points left and right. Where when at the beginning of the season, like Leclerc was being so careful about that, you know, like when he was I think in Australia, he was winning the race, and they told him like they could pin him, and he was like, you know what, guys, are you sure? Are you 100% sure that you guys can do this? And they were like, yes, yes, and like he went in and he was able to get the fastest lap. Oh no, 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 no! They told him don't come in because I don't think we want you to do that.
Oh yeah, I think he wanted to.
Yeah, he wanted to, but they told him don't come in. I think you're still gonna get the fastest lap, and he's like, are you sure? Okay, but like okay, and then like he stayed out and he had the fastest lap at the end, no problem. And and that's sort of the mentality that you were looking for, of like conserving points as many as you can, because Leclerc really care about that. But now you see it now, and it's like I don't know, like he's in such a bad spot with the team that like he knows that like he's not winning, that he's just like, I don't know, do whatever. And then like he's like, I kind of disagree with this, but I guess I'm not like in a competing position anymore. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think this would be the perfect time. If there was another top team like that, unfortunately, maybe Mercedes. Mercedes should go up to Leclerc and sign him up,
And sign
knowing
him,
that
right?
Hamilton is gonna be out in the next 2 years or whatever, and then just sign him now. And it's like, hey, you're gonna be in a Mercedes in 2 years. That's what happened with Montoya back in 2003.
They signed him
He
early.
like Montoya like had pole position. He started first on the race. He made a strategy, and then like during the pit stops and everything, they favored Ralph, and then Montoya, like it wasn't like in the French Grand Prix, and I think Ralph ended up winning the race, and Montoya got like second or third.
Wow.
And then Montoya was furious. It's like, why did you leave me out? Like the strategy was supposed to benefit me. I'm winning the race. I got pole position. I'm first. And
Yeah.
now I lost all the positions on the pit lane and on the strategy. And Montoya was furious. And then McLaren came and signed him up for 2005. So everybody knew that Montoya was there in 2003 in Williams, and then 2004 Williams. But from the beginning of 2004 and end of 2003, Williams already knew that Montoya was going to leave.
Wow. Crazy.
So I feel like Mercedes should do that. Just sign Leclerc up. It's like,
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's too early to call it because Hamilton is still there.
yeah, you still
Uh,
don't know when Hamilton is gonna retire.
yeah, but
Uh,
I have been saying for a while that I wish Leclerc was on Mercedes, so that they could like, well, so that like you will know what a good team is supposed to be like, or like what the top team like can't treat him like I'm like base the car around and all of these things. Because like I don't know, I think Ferraris are too proud of themselves, and they want to build the car that they want to build and not take the drivers into consideration, which is a horrible mistake. So yeah. Anyways.
yeah. So that's all about Ferrari.
Mhm.
Unless you get anything else. Okay.